I'm E-Lightning, and this is Sports Storm.
Today we will be doing our 5th NBA mock draft now that the NBA lottery is over. No picks changed as one of the first times it's happened in almost 20 years. So let's get right into it. With the first overall selection, who do you have the Philadelphia 76ers selecting?
I've been taking Ben Simmons still. He's the best player in the draft, and I think he's more of a cornerstone than Brandon Ingram is, and that's why I have him selecting him.
I also have him taking Ben Simmons. Originally, in the last 4 videos, I've had Brandon Ingram going to the 76ers, but obviously I've realized now, although Brandon Ingram may be the better option, Ben Simmons, he's more of a, like you said, he's more of a cornerstone, more of a player to build around, even though Brandon Ingram offers the outside shooting. I see Ben Simmons more of a leader for this hopeless Philadelphia team. Who do you have at number 2, the Los Angeles Lakers selecting?
I have the Los Angeles Lakers selecting Brandon Ingram. Now, we've said this countless videos. Brandon Ingram, Ben Simmons are going to be the top 2 picks. And Brandon Ingram fits it. Future Big 3, said in many videos. He offers versatile scoring, which is what the Lakers desperately need to go along with D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah, also at number 2, like you just said, it's either going to be Brandon Ingram or Ben Simmons, whichever one falls to the Lakers here at number 2. They both would fit in their schemes, fit perfectly. The Lakers definitely would prefer Ben Simmons here, but Brandon Ingram is the pick. Who do you have at number 3, the Boston Celtics selecting?
I've been taking Buddy Hield, and they need a bona fide superstar and a three-point shooter, and that's exactly what they get here in Buddy Hield, and he could potentially even grow, I think, could maybe even surpass Ben Simmons in terms of his superstar and, winning, and it's exactly what the Celtics need, and which is perfect.
Number 3, like you said, the Boston Celtics have a glaring need at three-point shooting, but I think you kill 2 birds with one stone. They also need post scoring. They haven't taken Dragan Bender out of Croatia. You know, he didn't put up electric numbers or anything, but he has the potential to develop into, some people are saying, Pau Gasol, and I think the Celtics need to capitalize on that. I would not be surprised to see the Celtics trade this pick if they don't see any long-term options here at number 3, and I think they could get serious value out of this number 3 pick. Who do you have at number 4, the Phoenix Suns selecting?
I have the Phoenix Suns selecting Dragan Bender. Now, as you just said, Phoenix needs three-point shooting somewhat, but they also need post, and they get potentially the best. I think you need to take a risk-reward here with Phoenix, and that's exactly what they're going to do here with Dragan Bender.
I do believe if Dragan Bender falls to Phoenix, they definitely need to take him at number 4. But since he's off the board, I have Phoenix selecting Jaylen Brown out of California. They could reach for Henry Ellenson here as another stretch 4, but I think that'd be too much of a reach. So you take Jaylen Brown here, get the lockdown wing, pair him up next to Devin Booker, and then you get Eric Bledsoe and Brandon Knight back. You have a powerful backcourt. Who do you have at number 5, the Minnesota Timberwolves selecting?
I have them selecting Jamal Murray. Now, they need a good combo guard, especially a player who can shoot threes. I think he slots perfectly into the lineup with Ricky Rubio playing point guard now. And then you get and fill your one issue of need. I feel like he can totally replace Kevin Martin and be better, and that's exactly what I need here.
At number 5, I have the Minnesota Timberwolves getting finally a true point guard in Chris Dunn out of Providence. I know they do already have Ricky Rubio, but I think they would be absolutely fine with benching him. They also do have Tyus Jones, but I don't think he's really much of a future plans for Minnesota. They're so talented, and if you get Chris Dunn here, that'll perfectly pair next to Andrew Wiggins and Karl Anthony Towns. Jamal Murray would also be an ideal selection. Who do you have at number 6, the New Orleans Pelicans selecting?
I have the New Orleans Pelicans selecting Chris Dunn. Now, they need a true point guard here to really help with all their other role players they have in the star Anthony Davis, and Chris Dunn will run that to perfection, I think, and maybe even get them a playoff spot.
Number 6, since Chris Dunn's already off the board, I think the New Orleans is kind of wishing for this. They can capitalize and get Buddy Hield here. True scorer, can shoot the lights out. You know, replace Eric Gordon, who's probably going to leave in free agency. Buddy Hield and Anthony Davis will be an electric duo in the NBA. Who do you have at number 7, the Denver Nuggets selecting?
I have the Denver Nuggets selecting Jaylen Brown, a versatile wing, can even develop. He's like the anti-Gallinari in a good way, and I think he perfectly balances this Nuggets lineup in the next 3 years.
Number 7, since Jaylen Brown is gone, I have the Nuggets selecting stretch 4 position here in Henry Ellenson out of Marquette. Had a shy, great season for a freshman. He had 17 points and 10 rebounds, which I don't think will be overlooked in the draft. I think he's going to rise up draft boards. So I have Denver taking him, filling in that 4 position. Who do you have at number 8, the Sacramento Kings selecting?
The Sacramento Kings selecting Domantas Sabonis to pair up there. Now they basically complete their front court here, well, at least their centers and power forwards, and that'll help them for years to come. Willie Cauley-Stein, the defensive anchor. DeMarcus Cousins could be traded, could not be, but he could be the star. And you have Domantas Sabonis to offer bench scoring, and I think that's perfect.
Number 8, I have the Sacramento Kings selecting dual scoring guard Jamal Murray. Reminds me a lot of a C.J. McCollum. You know, he doesn't pass the ball a ton very well. I mean, I believe he can, but he does have very good ball handling and can shoot and get to the basket. So I think that's what the Kings need here. They have Rondo, who they might pick up his contract in free agency, but they have a glaring need at shooting guard with Ben McLemore and Marco Bellinelli as their only option. So I think you have to take a shooting guard here. Who do you have at number 9, the Toronto Raptors selecting?
I have the Toronto Raptors selecting Henry Ellenson. I think he completes this front court right now. I mean, Jonas Valanciunas is playing great this postseason. He's averaging like 18 points, 12 rebounds. Now, with the emergence of him as their main offensive center, I really think that you need to get a good forward to pair him up with, and you get that right now in Henry Ellenson. And now this Raptors lineup only has one hole, and that's not even a huge hole at small forward if you pick up Henry Ellenson here.
Number 9, I also have him going with the power forward position and Domantas Sabonis out of Gonzaga. Averaged a double-double there, played great in the tournament. You know, he'll fill in that role that Luis Scola is going to leave behind in free agency. So I think that you could also go for an athletic wing just in case DeMar DeRozan does leave in free agency. But I think you're going to try to get DeMar DeRozan back. Build right now, get Domantas Sabonis or any other power forward. Who do you have at number 10, the Milwaukee Bucks selecting?
I have the Milwaukee Bucks selecting Marquise Chris. Now, he's been gaining a lot of buzz recently. He's been climbing up draft boards. I think he has a ton of potential here. And the Bucks, I think Greg Monroe will either be traded or even if he doesn't get traded, he's just not getting it done. I think Giannis Antetokounmpo is the centerpiece here, and I feel like you get him something to do, like another player to help him in that.
Yeah, I also have been taking Marquise Chris. Obviously, since Giannis Antetokounmpo is moving to the point guard position, Jason Kidd has made it known. They're going to have a hole at the forward position. They already have Jabari Parker, but they still have 2 forward positions. So I also have been taking Marquise Chris, can play either small forward or the power forward. Just flip him, flop him with Jabari Parker, athletic forward, and has a nice jump shot. Who do you have at number 11? The Orlando Magic selecting.
I have the Orlando Magic selecting Jakob Poeltl. Now, they need a defensive center here, and their front court overall, other than Vucevic, is not that good, and Vucevic is a purely offensive center, so I feel like you get the defensive counterpart here to help stifle to help be an anchor for your defense.
At number 11, I have the Orlando doing a similar move here. I think they're just going for higher potential players. They really are just taking the best player available, so I have them taking Deontay Davis out of Michigan State, defensive center. You know, he has more potential than Jakob Poeltl right now. Jakob Poeltl is more polished, but really Orlando has to go for most potential here. Who do you have at number 12, the Utah Jazz selecting?
I have the Utah Jazz at number 12 selecting Malik Beasley. Now, as I said in previous videos, he offers athletic, dynamic scoring that they just do not have anywhere else on that roster, and he can even shoot a little bit, and I think that really completes it here with Gordon Hayward and Alec Burks being mostly 3-point scorers, and then point guard is unsettled, but I feel like getting an explosive player here would be much more beneficial.
Yeah, at number 12, I also have him going for an explosive wing in Furkan Korkmaz. You know, he can also shoot the 3, and he's one of the most athletic players in this draft. So he's a player you really just have to take because there's no other player like him that's going to be on your team. So I think he's going to perfectly fit in with this Utah role. You could go for a point guard here, but I think you have to go best player available, and I believe that is Furkan Korkmaz. Who do you have at number 13, the Phoenix Suns selecting?
I was studying Denzel Valentine. Now, he offers an all-around good player here at this point. Now, he may be a little bit old, but I feel like the 3-point scoring, the passing, and the rebounding is all, like, the Suns need help in a lot of places, and I feel like they get a, like if it was a meter, they fill up a lot of meters by drafting Denzel Valentine here.
Number 13, I have the Suns earlier in the draft selecting Jaylen Brown, so I have them taking a big man here in Jakob Poeltl, defend the rim. Their big men are John Lure and Alex Len. That's not going to get it done for you. You need to get a big man down low. He's going to defend the rim, get occasional buckets. I think Jakob Poeltl's the pick here. Who do you have at number 14, the Chicago Bulls selecting?
I'm selecting Wade Baldwin here. No, I think they definitely need a guard, and I feel like he offers the 3-point scoring and the eventual heir to Derrick Rose that player like Demetrius Jackson does not offer here, and that's the main reason. Also, he has a lot of potential, and I just feel like he can all around be a more better stalwart and be a better deferrer to Jimmy Butler, better second player.
At number 14, I have the Chicago Bulls taking Denzel Valentine out of Michigan State. You know, he can really do everything. He can rebound, he can pass, he can score, and he can also shoot the three, which is a desperate need for Chicago. I think they'd be glad to get him here at number 14. And honestly, to comment, I think if you're Chicago here, you have to take, if you're going for point guard, you take Demetrius Jackson over Wade Baldwin, considering I think Demetrius Jackson more like Derrick Rose than Wade Baldwin is, a short, athletic point guard that's going to get to the rim. Who do you have?
I think you need 3-point scoring, and you knock down two birds with one stone: future point guard and 3-point scoring.
Well, Demetrius Jackson can also shoot the three. He didn't showcase it at point guard, but
it can develop into a much better. A lot of people have been into a less good Steph Curry. I mean, come on.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but all right.
People have been saying that.
Well, they're crazy. At number 15, who do you have the Denver Nuggets selecting?
I have the Denver Nuggets selecting Demetrius Jackson. Now, their backcourt, Jameer Nelson as a backup point guard is not going to get it done. No, they're not selecting point guards in back-to-back drafts, but imagine how good that would be if whoever you have coming off the bench would be excellent, and really backcourts will win you games in this.
Yeah. At number 15, I also had the Denver Nuggets selecting Demetrius Jackson, and previously he was playing next to Jerry Grant at Notre Dame, and he played a shooting guard position, and he shot the ball much better than he did at point guard, so I think he fit perfectly at Denver playing shooting guard, and he can also play point guard when Emmanuel Moody is not on the floor, which would be a great pick for Denver. Who do you have at number 16, the Boston Celtics selecting?
I have the Boston Celtics selecting Skal Labissiere here. Now, maybe a little bit of reach, but once again, they solved their big man need, and he has a ton of potential here, Skal Labissiere. Some even thought he could be a top 5 pick. Now, Grant, not a lot of production, but I feel like people are willing to take chances with centers that not have a lot of production, but have like amazing potential. I mean, the measurables are insane here.
Number 16, I also have Boston going for a reach, but with a guy with way more production than Skal Labissiere. I have him taking Bryce Johnson out of UNC, consistent double-double guy. Might be a little bit of a reach, but if you're Boston, I think it's definitely going to be worth it, especially if this Dragan Bender question mark doesn't pan out. So I think you need to kind of have a backup plan here if Dragan Bender doesn't plan out the way you hope he would. Who do you have at number 17, the Memphis Grizzlies selecting?
I've been selecting Timothy Luwawu. Now, he has the chance to develop into a very good wing scorer, something that they do not have. And he fits in perfectly with the defensive lineup. I think I think he loads of potential with this guy, and new head coach, maybe he can teach him up pretty well.
Number 17. I also have the Memphis Grizzlies. Selecting a scoring wing, but I haven't taken Malik Beasley. He can get to the basket, he can hold his own on defense, and he can even shoot a little bit. That's what the Grizzlies need right now. Really all defense as a team right now. Who do you have at number 18, the Detroit Pistons selecting?
I also think Furkan Korkmaz, that gives them the 3-point shooting that they need. Not much else, but I feel like Stan Van Gundy is going to be willing to draft a player that fits his system and makes his team overall better than a player who has more talent but doesn't fit the system as much. And as you see, KCP, a great defensive wing. Reggie Jackson has not shown consistent 3-point shooting, even as a good point guard. They get 3-point shooting.
On number 18, I have the Detroit Pistons going for a backup point guard here in Wade Baldwin. They had the league's worst scoring bench, and I think that all deteriorates to the point guard who Steve Blake obviously is not going to get it done. Wade Baldwin's going to get it done. 6'3", 7'1" wingspan. You can't pass on that. Who do you have at number 19, the Denver Nuggets selecting?
I have the Denver Nuggets selecting Malachi Richardson. Now they get a dynamic player here, played great in the tournament or Syracuse, and I feel like he can be great here for the Nuggets and kind of slot into that shooting guard role.
At number 19, I have the Nuggets selecting Timothy Luwawu out of France, and I think he's been kind of sliding down draft boards recently, kind of in that 15 to 30 range before he was in that 10 to 20 range. But I think he'd be a perfect fit here in Denver. I already have him getting Demetrius Jackson, so you could pair him with Emmanuel Mudiay, Demetrius Jackson, and Timothy Luwawu as your starting backcourt. And then you still got Henry Ellenson earlier, so you're really building for the future here. Who do you have at number 20, the Indianapolis Pacers selecting?
I have them selecting Tyler Ulis. I mean, George Hill has not been getting it done. Tyler Ulis is a very high talent player, high reward. I think he's going to be a surefire good point guard in this league. Not a great, but I feel like when you have Paul George, you don't really need a great point guard. And Monte Ellis, who's another ball dominant scorer, you just need somebody who can score when necessary and also dish the ball, which is what Tyler Ulis is at this point.
Yeah, I also have the Indianapolis Pacers selecting Tyler Ulis, kind of lead the bench for the first few years and eventually overtake George Hill as the starting point guard. I think he'll definitely fit in Indiana. Who do you have at number 21, the Atlanta Hawks selecting?
I have them selecting Thon Maker. No, they need a high potential big man here. Someone because Al Horford's free agency is uncertain, and even less, their front court's old. Their backups at front court aren't really solid, and I think Thon Maker here has a chance to develop very good, very young, coming right out of high school. Loads of potential with this guy.
Number 21, I have Atlanta also going for a high risk, high reward player in Skal Labissiere. Who knows? He may not fall this low because of how high his potential is. I think he will adjust based on how low his production was. So I have at number 21 Atlanta picking up another big man in Skal Labissiere. Who do you have at number 22? The Charlotte Hornets selecting.
I have the Charlotte Hornets selecting at number 22 DeAndre Bembry. Now Michael Kidd-Gilchrist has not proven to be very good. Nicholas Batum may leave. They get a very grit, rebounding wing. Played at a small college, but I feel like his production speaks for itself. He averaged a double-double with a decent amount of points, and I feel like that's exactly what Charlotte needs, as Kemba has proven he can take this franchise deep.
Yeah, number 22, I have the Charlotte Hornets selecting high school prodigy Thon Maker. He can play the power forward and the center. Pair him up, put him at the power forward position. A huge need for them. You could go with a wing scorer, but I think power forward's more of a need here. You have to take Thon Maker if he falls to you. Who do you have at number 23, the Boston Celtics selecting?
I'm getting Deontay Davis. Now he's fallen a long way here, but if they do get him here, loads of potential. I mean, and they develop him like they can with the rest of that'll be scary right there. If you get we've talked about how he can have a lot of potential. Right now, they can capitalize on that potential here late.
Number 23 out of the Boston Celtics selecting wing scorer out of Syracuse, Malachi Richardson. He's been flying up draft boards after the combine. Now it seems like he's a sure bet for the first round, which I believe he's going to be even higher than some people think. And number 23, obviously, Boston has a lot of ways that could go here. I think Malachi Richardson it will be a great value pick. Who do you have at number 24, the Philadelphia Sixers selecting?
I have Philadelphia 76ers selecting DeJounte Murray, combo guard. He's been climbing draft boards and the combine. I think he can be a first round pick, and as a guard-starred Philadelphia roster, I think he fits in really well with some explosiveness and maybe even a little bit of outside scoring.
Number 24, I also have Philadelphia going at the guard route. I haven't taken DeAndre Bembry. He could develop potentially into a Jimmy Butler. Some people are saying that's kind of unrealistic, but I think Philadelphia, if DeAndre Bembry falls to them, definitely should capitalize on the fact that he's still available. Who do you have at number 25, the Los Angeles Clippers selecting?
Taurean Prince. I have them selecting Taurean Prince out of Baylor. They need a wing. They get a wing. Paul Pierce is aging. It's simple as that.
Yeah, at number 25, I also have the Los Angeles Clippers selecting Taurean Prince. You know, he might not start right away, but he'll definitely fit into the system in Los Angeles where they have a glaring need at small forward. Who do you have at number 26, the Philadelphia 76ers selecting?
The Philadelphia 76ers selecting Malcolm Brogdon. He gives rebounding, he gives grit, toughness, and I think they're going to blow up a lot of centers here, and they might need his rebounding.
Yeah, I also haven't taken Malcolm Brogdon. I think he's one of the best defensive wings, if not the best defensive wing in this draft. Led Virginia to a Final Four. Well, no, yeah, never mind. He didn't lead him to a Final Four, but led him to a great regular season. But I believe one of the best defensive players in this draft. Philadelphia would love to have him. Who do you have at number 27, the Toronto Raptors selecting?
I've been studying Bryce Johnson here. Now they get a guaranteed good prospect here. Now, as I said, they get more help in the front court here, which I really think they're being exploited here watching these playoffs right now. And it help you brawl with some of the really good teams in the East here with Bryce Johnson.
Number 27, I have Toronto trying to get a more athletic wing, and Patrick McCaw out of UNLV can take it to the rack just like DeMar DeRozan. You need to prepare just in case he does leave in free agency to have a backup plan. I think Patrick McCaw is a backup plan for DeMar DeRozan leaving. Who do you have at number 28, the Phoenix Suns selecting?
I have the Phoenix Suns selecting Damian Jones here, high potential center. Now they get the rebounding need that they didn't get earlier in the draft, and I think he can be eventually develop into a good rebounder in this league.
Number 20, I had the Phoenix Suns selecting Check Diallo, the block shotting monster out of Kansas. Didn't show much production, but he was amazing at the combine, just swatting everyone in sight. So I think that's definitely going to shoot him up draft boards, possibly into the first round. I think Phoenix should take him. But yeah, at number 29, the San Antonio Spurs selecting.
So I have them setting Melo Trimble. Now Tony Parker has been declining. Patty Mills is a decent backup point guard, and I feel like if anybody can develop Melo Trimble into his high potential, it'll be the Spurs, and he can eventually take that starting role.
Number 29, the Spurs selecting Ivica Zubac out of Croatia, another draft and stash guy. San Antonio's had good luck with them. With Boban Marjanovic, they need to prepare that Tim Duncan is going to retire, and that kind of Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili era is kind of fading away now. So they really just need to develop or need to prepare for that, and Ivica Zubac is the pick. Who do you have with the final pick of this video? At number 30, the Golden State Warriors selecting.
Check Diallo. Now they get good shot blocking here. He can maybe even replace Andrew Bogut come time. But they have a good player. He's not going to play, but him and Kevin Looney, I think, would be a similar player to develop and maybe trade one of them and keep the other.
Number 30, I have the Golden State Warriors filling a need left. Sean Livingston's going to leave in free agency, so I have them taking DeJounte Murray, dual guard role. He can shoot a little bit, still fit in that Warrior scheme, lead the bench. I think that it'll be a perfect match. That's it. That is it for us today at Sports Storm. Like,
comment,
subscribe.
Peace.